All right, we're live. All right, well, we are here with the Margate Terrapin project. As people kind of come on and join, I'm just going to kind of give some snapshots of this beautiful little female Diamondback Terrapin here.
Model her.
Yeah, that's it. Show her. Oh, yeah, she's beautiful. Yeah, she's beautiful. So this is not a specimen that they brought. This is a specimen that we just found, I guess. So I'm going to let, this is here with Kim Wiech. Or no, you're Kim. You're Kim. You're Kim. And you are Tammy.
Tammy Spanier,
all right.
yes.
Spanier. All right. So, and I'm Aaron Stoller. Thanks for joining me. It looks like we've got six people on so far. That's great. Excuse me for the traffic in the background. We're going to try to avoid the traffic a little bit as we move along the side of the road, and we're going to take a trip in the car. But in the meantime, I'm just going to put the camera as close to our mouths as possible so that you can hear us great. And I'll let Kim take it away. You're Kim.
Yeah,
You're Kim. Okay.
We just happened to be coming out to meet you out here along our patrolling route on the causeway, and we spotted this female just finishing up her nesting. So she was right here doing her happy dance, finishing up her nesting. So they dig a hole with their hind legs here, which she's trying to hide. She doesn't want them to come out. They have pretty big claws in the back, and that's how they dig. They don't use their front feet for anything when it comes to nesting. But she digs the hole, which basically looks like this, which is a predated one there.
You're going to have to talk louder as I move the camera away. Just remember that.
Yeah. So this is a predated one right here that something may have gotten to, either a crow or a raccoon. We do have some fox out here as well. But she was finishing up nesting, so we kind of hang out, let her do her thing. And then when she's done, we mark the nest so that we can protect it. So we put a little flag, a utility flag with the date on there. So this is a utility flag here, green flag. We have blue ones too.
Is there a difference between blue and green?
No, it's just I ran out.
Just
of the
whatever
green.
whatever you have. Oh, I see. And then we have a little cage over top of the nest to make sure that they. Kaylee Senna says hi. We love all. Okay, so by the way, if anybody's listening, please ask questions. They're more than happy to answer them.
Yes.
So we have we get the turtle lays a nest. Turtle lays eggs. Is it relatively easy to spot the nest?
No, it's actually really difficult to spot. If you look underneath it here, you wouldn't even know that there's a nest there.
There's a nest right here?
There's a nest right there.
Oh, I guess that's what the flag was. Okay,
Yeah.
you didn't put that there for me. How do you know that there's a nest?
So you have to watch them finish the nesting.
Oh, really? So you have to patrol this every single day?
Yes. So we have people out here at least once a day, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day, patrolling, looking for nesting terrapins. They cover it up really well because they want to try to hide it. They're not, trying to make it very noticeable for predators. And also because it's really grassy here, it actually helps because they put some of the grass and rocks and stuff back on top, so you can't tell at all.
So you guys spend the time, you watch them lay that, and then you put this nice little cage over top.
Yes.
And this cage protects against predators.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. It protects against predators. We also try to protect against anything that's burrowing, which sometimes, you might not get to that.
So what kind of things like to eat turtle eggs?
A lot of things out here. We have a bunch of crows out here. We have ospreys out here. We have crabs that come up.
So will ospreys actually dig up the turtle eggs?
No, the ospreys don't necessarily dig as much. They might be a secondary predator. So the crows will kind of come and do the initial and take out the eggs. And then if there's any there kind of left out, the osprey will kind of scare off the crow and take those as well.
Okay, so you said ospreys. We have seagulls.
Seagulls.
Bastards.
I know. Seagulls tend to go for the actual hatchlings. So they'll actually go when they're babies and take them. They'll sometimes eat the eggs. They're more opportunists.
Oh, I know. You want to go. It's okay. We'll let you go. We'll let you go.
I've been holding her for a while.
Yeah, so she's probably pissed.
She's over this.
All right.
We have raccoons out here.
Raccoons.
We have a bunch of fox I've seen out here. Specifically, not this section as much as the fox, but up towards the Northfield section where there's more woods.
Okay. Now, is it possible for us to maybe dig up the nest just to see what the eggs look like and then cover it up?
I don't like to disturb the nest.
Okay, that's fine.
Just because if you change the orientation of the eggs,
They can change. Okay.
Yeah, it could dislodge the embryo.
Just had to ask. I know that some people were wondering.
Yeah, we might be able to see. Unfortunately, some of the ones that have been hit, you can see the eggs on the road.
I just threw some off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like to disturb them.
Fresh kill with the eggs that got smashed. It was a shame, but
Yeah, we'll probably be able to see
We can't
some.
do it, by the way.
We'll probably be able to see some as we're going along.
Okay.
Some of the eggs that are either been obviously taken out or hit on the causeway. So, but yeah. So I think she's had her time. She nested about 20 minutes ago. She's over this.
I named her Francine.
Francine. I like Francine. She's pretty. She's not one of the biggest ones we've seen, but she's a good size.
I know somebody's going to take issue to me naming a turtle that I just met. Whatever.
It's okay.
I'm an ecologist. I'm allowed to do it. I study animals all the time.
Yeah, you're allowed to name them. It gives them more, personality. And she's definitely the feisty one.
So
too.
while we have her, just because I'm going to describe what you just told me about identifying. Well, let's identify a diamondback first of all. How do you identify a diamondback versus others?
Yeah. So a diamondback, if you look on the carapace,
Sorry.
If you look on the carapace, which is the top of the shell, this is the carapace, that's the plaster on the bottom. On the carapace, you see these scutes, which are like scales. Scutes. And they're named after the diamond shape. They don't always all look like diamond shapes, but they're kind of irregular in how they're just kind of laid out. They usually have some type of pattern on them and ridges as well. They also have this keel on top. Woo, she's like, nope. This keel on top.
Kind of like a boat keel.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but used for a different reason.
Yeah. It's similar to sea turtles. So sea turtles have this, whereas if you look at freshwater turtles, they don't usually have this. It's more because of where they're actually living, which is in the salt marsh. Okay. And sometimes they make it into the bays and occasionally into the oceans and the inlets. So they need this to help with the swimming against the current.
Okay.
That's bone covered up with keratin.
Yep.
Yes. So
we'll talk a little bit about the physiology of a turtle, because a lot of people don't know that the shell is actually not. It's actually not just a case. It's part of them.
It's part of them.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about that in the car.
I have a shell.
That's
open
great.
shell that we can see the backbone inside.
Jennifer Hecker asks, how many nests do you find per year?
Oh, that's a great question. This year we found way more nests than usual. It depends on how many volunteers we have out here, but I would say anywhere from like 20 to 50 nests.
20 to 50 nests per year?
Just on the causeway, yeah.
Oh, that's great. And how many eggs are usually in a nest?
Anywhere from 8 to 14 eggs.
8 to 14 eggs, that's fantastic. And this is just along this road?
Just along this road.
By the way, we're what is this road?
Margate Causeway.
Margate Causeway.
Yeah. Which also, Margate Boulevard or Down Beach Express, because you have to pay the toll, so.
As you can clearly see, people are driving past this. Wave hi. Hi. People are driving past this very fast, and so it's very important that we don't hit the turtles. Both for the sake of cars as well as turtles, by the way. It's not just for the turtles. You kind of could do some damage if you hit a turtle careening off.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so back to Diamondback. So the scutes, the spots on their legs, I can tell, and then this beautiful little snout here.
Yeah.
That's pretty unique for Diamondbacks.
We like to say they have like a little mustache.
They do.
She has kind of a mustache. The males tend to have a little bit of a darker mustache on them.
Well, of course, because they got the beard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I see you. It's okay.
But they're very, their skin is definitely very vibrant. I mean, there's different variations out here, just with any species, but majority of them are pretty brightly colored with the spots all around.
Okay. And then the female, you said, is usually larger than the male.
Yes. So the female is usually from anywhere from like 6 to 10 inches.
Okay.
The males are around 5 or 6 inches.
Okay.
So they're significantly smaller. They tend to be a little bit darker colored too. But most importantly, if you ever try to spot them out in the water, the heads of the males are thinner and darker.
Okay.
Whereas the females are flatter and wider. So.
Turn around, show where the eggs would be if people see them.
Yeah. So we know that she already nested.
She's trying to turn herself over now.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to be upside down. If they had eggs in them, or if she had eggs in them, which we already know she nested, so she's empty. There's a couple ways you can tell. So right behind here, you can gently kind of feel into like the fleshy part.
Okay.
You would start to feel hard circles.
Okay.
Multiple hard circles. You can also go right in front of her hind foot here.
Now, you don't want to feel them too hard,
You don't
for
want to feel
sure,
them too
because you
hard.
can damage them.
Exactly, you could damage them, and then
Right.
she would be egg bound, which is not good.
Oh, yeah,
it
that could
cause
kill
an
her.
infection.
Yeah.
So you would feel in there, and it would be really obvious. You could feel on both sides. Sometimes they have them on one side.
This is like a gynecological
I know.
exam right now. This poor thing.
It is. It definitely is. She's like,
Just
yeah.
relax.
Jeez, you don't even have any jelly.
She's like,
I don't like this. Let's leave poor Francine alone.
Yeah, I think Francine's had enough for us.
John Gregg asks, would you find those around Seven Bridges Road in Tuckerton?
Yes.
Yes,
Correct.
yes, okay.
Yeah, so anywhere that there's salt marsh.
All right.
I know Seven Bridges is a particularly tricky area. Project Terrapin, which is with the Mates School up in Manahawkin.
Yeah, Mates. I know Mates, yeah.
So,
John Wennick, right?
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
so they patrol a lot of the northern areas in the Barnegat area. I believe that Seven Bridges is either covered under them or it might be covered under Conserve Wildlife Foundation.
Okay.
They have a bunch of different volunteers and groups throughout the northern area.
You're going to find the terrapins all up and down the eastern seaboard.
Yep, and into the Gulf
And
even.
into the Gulf. There are about 7 different subspecies that are going to be the entire way up and down. So this is our northern
Northern Diamondback.
Eileen Halko says we rescued 7 in Fortescue yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Where's Fortescue?
Fortescue is south.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like we've got a whole bunch of organizations around trying to rescue Diamondbacks. So how about we take a little walk and we talk about the importance of Diamondbacks?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's let poor Francine go.
Yeah, we're gonna let her go. She's had her time. You can see how fast she kind of moves away.
Well, she's
She's a little camera shy right now.
camera shy. Bye. You did your job. Good job. We'll take it from here. All right.
Yeah, there she goes.
So for those of you that are just tuning in, welcome. Thank you very much for coming on. We're here with the Margate Terrapin Rescue Project. Margate Diamondback Terrapin. I guess Diamondback was too many syllables.
Yeah.
With Tammy and Kim.
Yes.
And we will get away from traffic so we can have more of a conversation, but we're along the Margate Boulevard right now, and you can see, what is this bay called right here?
Just the back bays of Margate.
Back bays of Margate.
Yeah.
Back bays of Margate. So this is prime Diamondback Terrapin habitat, yes?
Yes,
All right.
prime area.
So where are we going?
All right, so we're gonna head up eastbound. We're gonna head towards the Margate maintenance yard, where we tend to see a lot of activity up there, and it's a little bit quieter too.
Okay, great.
So, and along the way, we might see some more nesting, so we can pull over and stop along the way.
Turtle busters.
Yes.
Let's do it.
You want to follow us up there?
So for those of you that are anywhere concerned, I am wearing a mask just to keep things safe. Can't have the cameras, can't have everyone else wearing a mask because otherwise we wouldn't get good audio. So Holly Whiston asks, one of my friends saved one that had gotten ran over with a cracked shell. Not sure where she took it to. Where would you suggest or do in a situation like this?
So there's a couple of options right now. We have been asked by the Wetlands Institute down in Stone Harbor to contact Cedar Run Wildlife Refuge, which is in Medford. However, we also got word that there are some local veterinarians, Linwood Animal Hospital, which would be willing to take in injured terrapins right now to try to save them. And if they can't save them, then they would humanely euthanize them as well.
Okay.
But the time in which they go from injured to unfortunately fatal, if depending on the crack, is pretty quickly.
Yeah.
A lot of the issues out here is that the terrapins get hit not only once but multiple times.
Right.
So by the time we come upon them, they're usually pretty crushed.
So now, by this time, you're just an expert in looking for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can just detect where they are.
I can determine all sorts of, unfortunately, living things and dead things on the road.
I get it. I get it. I'm a frog guy, so
yeah, you know what to
driving around at night, I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, exactly. On the way
Kinda
here,
just
I just
develop an
rescued a little teeny baby box turtle. And most people probably wouldn't see it, but my eye's so trained to look for anything that's on the cause or any on roadways. So I tend to stop pretty quickly. So
this wet habitat that we're staring at right here, this is great for them, right? I mean, this is just this what we call rack right here.
Yes.
One of the reasons why not to throw in all your plastic trash and make sure that you don't have any trash in here is because this is great habitat for diamondbacks. Did we find one? Oh, look, I see it.
Yeah, I think we got another.
Look, I want to find a turtle. Hi, turtle. John Gregg asks, would you also find them in the wet area of the pines, such as the mullica?
Only if it's tidally influenced. So they only like areas that are a mix of salt and fresh water. They can survive in salt water for a short period of time, and they can live in fresh water. However, this is kind of their area. So I don't know, it depends on what part of the mullica you're looking at. I know some of it might be tidally influenced, but for the most part, closer to the ocean, the Back Bay area is really where we find them. It's a very short section up and down the East Coast. It's only about a couple miles wide.
Okay.
On their range as far as where they go. But
so it looks like we got a nester.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we might have disturbed her, unfortunately.
Oh no.
So.
I didn't know what I was looking at too soon.
Yeah.
So no.
So unfortunately,
she would have covered it up.
If they get too close, they abandon their nest. So I don't think she dropped anything. It doesn't look like she dropped anything. No. She was just in the process of digging. So will
she come back then?
She'll come back later.
Okay.
But not to this
So
spot,
guys, I'm sorry. I think I might have messed it up by not being sneaky enough. I didn't know what we were looking at, and I was trying to entertain you guys. I will be quieter next time. But so what we just encountered was a turtle trying to nest.
Yeah, she's down there.
She's down there. She's waiting.
She's gonna wait until we leave.
Okay.
So anyway, this is what their nest looks like when they go and dig it.
They dig it really deep.
They do. They dig about 6 to 8 inches down. And they use their hind legs to dig and also their hind legs to cover it up.
Okay.
And then the deposit, about 8 to 14 eggs, usually around 10 to 12 we see out here.
Okay.
Deposit the eggs, close it back up, and you will not be able to tell if there is a nest there unless you watched it.
Okay.
So they're very stealthy at that. But yeah, she left it.
All right, well, let's leave her alone.
Yeah, she's hiding down there right now. Yeah. But did you get...
I got her. I put it into naturalist.
Okay.
So we keep track of any of the terrapins that we see either dead or that are nesting or whatever, and we keep track of all of the statistics. And so that's what I was doing here. I got the picture of her. Unfortunately, you saw how she was scared off.
Scooted
she
away,
scooted away. But I still keep that in for the statistics.
Now, will she come back to the same nest because she already dug it, or is she going to try to dig another nest?
No, she will probably try to dig another nest.
They
do stay in the same area.
Okay.
They don't migrate. They tend to have a pretty high site fidelity, so they will come back to the same spots over and over.
Okay.
But she probably will not go back to that same nest.
All right,
so
well, let's
she got scared and
let's
like,
get
that's
back
not a
in
good
the
spot.
car and see if we can find any more.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more.
And I'll be sneakier, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, so we just encountered a diamondback terrapin who was nesting, and we can blame me. It's a greenhead.
Yeah, we got a greenhead in here.
Can we kill him?
Oh, got it.
No insect deserves to be killed.
Well,
maybe greenheads.
It's like maybe they do.
So, and we can blame me. We scared her off as she was nesting, but it didn't take us long to find one, so maybe we'll find another one.
Yeah, we will.
Why do they prefer to lay here?
That's a great question. So this is above the high tide mark. So they don't want their nest to get inundated with the tide, obviously with the water, because that would destroy the nest. But they are looking for a sandy, kind of flat area. And unfortunately, you can see across the bay, we've developed all the barrier islands where they used to historically lay their nests. So this is the next best thing for them. It's kind of sandy in some spots. We do have a little bit more sandy spots further up. But this is where the safest spot for them to go now. They can't get on the bulkheads on the barrier islands.
So it's kind of unfortunate because this wouldn't have existed if not for humans, because we built up this road above the high tide line.
Yep.
So we essentially created a dangerous habitat that they prefer.
Yes, exactly.
I see.
We basically gave them no other option.
Which is really why it's so important for your organization to exist, because we created this situation, so we have to be responsible for stewarding safe harbor for these animals.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
We are essentially responsible for both the saving but also the detriment of them originally.
Right. So these this black barrier, as most of you have guessed, is to try to keep them from traveling on the road. Now, why would they want to travel on the road instead of just finding a nest right when they encounter this high tide?
So when they're gravid, when they have eggs,
Guys, we have another nesting site right here that we found. I don't know if you can see that they already put a flag there and place for the eggs. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. So when they're gravid, when they have eggs in them, they're basically on a one-track mind to find the best nesting site. So they don't see roads, they don't understand danger like this. So they're just looking for the best spot to nest, and that might be on the other side of the road.
Okay.
So they're just trying to go in the most linear fashion to get to where they want to go. So that's why we a lot of times see them crossing across this road.
So aside from high tide, what constitutes the best nesting site for them?
Well, above the high tide mark.
Above the high tide mark is one.
Above the high tide mark, like a sandy, softer area.
So they can dig in.
Yes, so they can easily dig in. Around here, it's not as cut and dry as it would be if it were just a dune area, like a sandy dune area.
You got an osprey over there.
Yes, we have a bunch of osprey.
We got 2 ospreys over there. Oh man.
They're here every year. I actually take a lot of photographs of them every year, and I watch their nests.
What a great birding area.
Yeah, this is a great birding area. If anybody that's watching is into birding, the amount of aquatic birds and waterfowl out here is very high. I have a lot of really good pictures because you can park along the causeway here and just watch. We have a lot of oyster catcher nests too out here. Usually on the left-hand side, there'll be a bunch of oyster catchers, which we'll probably see because they get very loud.
They're the ones that dive straight down.
No, those are
those are the ones with the long beak, the long beaks.
Yeah, those are the least terns.
I remember.
So we have least terns out here. We have black skimmers. We have the oyster catchers, which have the really bright orange beaks with the bright orange eyes. And the reason they're called oyster catchers is because they obviously pry open oysters and other bivalves. But it seems to be a little bit quieter over here right now. But I think once we head to the next section, we'll see some. We can show you a bunch of our less than ideal nesting spots in the maintenance yard.
Sure.
Which there is some sand in there that they use for construction, and we oftentimes find them nesting on that sand pile. The maintenance crew out here is very aware of what we do now. And
I imagine they must be.
Yeah, they are very big helps this year. They've been saving a lot. They keep their own tally of how many they've saved.
Aww.
And they also help move across, unfortunately, the dead ones. They will move off the road as well.
So Sheila asks, once the eggs are in the nest, how long will it be before they hatch?
Usually around 60 to 90 days.
Holy, jeez, that's
Depends
a long
on the
time.
weather. The hotter it is, the faster they'll hatch. So we've had pretty warm weather. It depends on soil temperature. They're not that constant because it's only about 6 to 8 inches down. But we should start to see some of our first nests hatching usually the end of July.
Okay.
Because they start anywhere from the end of May to the middle of July.
Okay.
As they're nesting.
So we're probably catching them towards the end of.
Yes.
Okay.
We're towards the end. However, this year it was very delayed. they didn't start nesting until almost the middle of July, which is the latest they've ever nested.
Middle of June.
Middle of June, sorry.
Yeah.
It's the one of the latest they've ever nested. Usually right around Memorial Day, we will see some nesting and happening.
And why do you think that is?
Well, it was a little bit cooler of a spring.
Okay.
The water didn't warm up as quick. And we had quite a bit of rain and cold, damp weather in June, or in May and June. So, yeah, there's a lot of traffic today.
Well, it's a nice day, and we're still in quarantine, holiday weekend.
Yeah, everybody's quarantining really well.
That's even more important to make sure that we save them.
Yeah, exactly.
I know when I used to work up in Northwest Pennsylvania, we would, you know, there's no actual, nobody likes snapping turtles, but we'd have to shove them off the road just because they're so huge that they would damage cars when they would ever get ridden over. So while we're looking for Diamondbacks here, and by the way, for those of you that are just tuning in, welcome. We're just driving along Margate Boulevard looking for some Diamondback Terrapins right now, driving really slowly along the edge to look for their little cute heads popping out. And I'm in the car with Kim. Wiech. Wiech like beach. With the Margate Diamondback Terrapin Rescue. So just we'll show you some skeletons later on, but Diamondback Terrapins, like any what's the difference between a terrapin and a turtle?
That's a great question too. So terrapins,
one's flippy floppy and the other one.
Terrapins are what we like to define as a special type of turtle. So you can call them turtles. I think we have another nesting one up here.
Okay.
You can call them turtles, but terrapin's a little bit more specific, which means that they live in this brackish water. So this is kind of a habitat-driven terrapin. Now, sometimes people refer to these guys as red-eared sliders as well.
Okay. They're not.
They're not. Well,
they're definitely not.
In United Kingdom, actually in Europe, they call terrapins red-eared sliders. That's what they refer to them as. So we've actually had a pretty funny mix-up. I had somebody contact me, thought we were at
she's on the move.
Margate, United Kingdom. You might be able to get her.
She left the nest. We got a nest?
Yep.
Oh, yay! We got a nest.
So,
Man, how do you tell? Oh my goodness, it's so well hidden.
yeah.
They're very good at it.
So this is just a nest right here. She covered it up. She even like camouflaged it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, the other one was Francine. This one's going to be, we're going to name it Sheila after the last commenter. Well, Sheila Berry asked the A question.
Oh, okay,
so we'll name this one officially Sheila.
I like it, Sheila. So this is a really cool find. She has a barnacle on her, which I don't think I've ever seen one with a barnacle
look
on.
at that. That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
No, that's not hurting her.
No, it should be just more of a symbiotic.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of animals, bacteria, and fungi and algae that like to hitch rides on turtles because they're slow moving enough, but they move around so that they can get it's like a free ride.
Yeah. So you can see the color differentiation from our last terrapin, Francine. You can tell by her head. The head on Francine was a lot more spotted and light colored. She's more speckled, a little bit darker colored head.
I'm gonna get another picture for the
yeah, especially with that barnacle. That's really cool.
Bill
says.
says.
Look, it's actually starting to open a little bit.
Yeah, look at that.
Wow, that's really
Bill
interesting.
says that he saw well over 100 yesterday at EBF Refuge. Forsyth.
Okay.
Forsyth.
Got
What's
it.
B?
I think that's just the middle initial.
That's the middle. I never even thought of it as EBF.
Edwin B. Forsyth.
Oh yes, that's right.
The B, yeah.
What's the B?
I don't
Yeah,
know
so this is a pretty big female too. So she's probably, based on the barnacle being on her,
Yeah. She must have been
significantly
around for
older.
for a while.
They can live about up to 25 years.
Now I do wonder if that prevents that scute from coming off.
Yeah, I was
Because
thinking
it looks
you
like
can
the
see
scute
it's not
tried.
like peeling.
Eventually the barnacle's going to have to come off, but it looks like the barnacle is actually between two scutes,
Yeah.
so it would have to come off at the same time.
That's really interesting. That is a first.
Look how it's peeling. Yeah.
That's a first for.
Wow, this is
I've
pretty
never
cool to
seen
see.
one like this.
That's interesting because it would really have to stick there.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
But we don't see any divoting or anything,
No.
so it must have just been that both scutes had to come off at the same time for the entirety of this
Life.
Sheila's life.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Huh. But yeah, you can see the color differentiation on the patterns are a little bit different on this one. That's why we like to take pictures of the shells.
Okay.
Because you can kind of see over.
Now, do you guys mark tag these at all?
We do not tag
Okay.
them. No. We do not have the pit tags or any of the notchings yet. That's probably going to be in our future, though, to
Okay.
kind of do better population study. Right now, I try to focus on more of a citizen science approach. So I'm trying to get people from the community involved.
Okay.
And until we get enough people year after year that are kind of comfortable with just helping out, then we can start to introduce the tagging.
Okay. So let's get a nest over top of it.
Yeah, we got to get a protector. So we got to get a flag. Do you have any more flags?
I don't have any in the
Okay,
car.
there's some up there.
Right.
Here, we'll stick a stick somewhere.
Yeah, we can stick a stick over here.
I don't know. We got to get a marker.
Yeah. Right there. Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. And put some of this purple garbage. That will pick up later. Yeah, that was a pretty good find.
Bye, Sheila.
Alright, we're gonna let you go.
Yeah,
She's
thanks.
definitely-
Thanks.
She's done.
Well, I would be too after you just gave birth.
Yeah. That's such a cool film. It's really fascinating. Alright, good find. That was a good find.
All right, so we'll talk a little bit more about the citizen science thing in the car.
Yeah, we're almost to the maintenance yard.
So, we were talking about the difference between terrapins and turtles.
Yes.
I was remembering a comedy skit that I just watched. It was tortoises versus turtles. One's flippy floppies, the other one's flip flips.
That's a pretty good one. Well, so that's a pretty common thing. People are like, well, why don't we just call it a turtle? And you could call it a turtle. You don't want to call it a tortoise, though.
Right.
A tortoise is definitely.
So this is not a tortoise. This is
not a
definitely a
tortoise.
turtle,
It's
but it's a
definitely a
specific
turtle.
kind of turtle.
Yep, correct. So all terrapins are turtles, but not all turtles are terrapins. So, yeah, it's a specific type of turtle that we find just in the brackish waters. And you can see it's almost a cross. Some people would call it a cross between like a sea turtle and a freshwater turtle.
Okay.
Because it does have some of the similar characteristics of a sea turtle with the keel. The coloring is a little bit brighter than a lot of freshwater turtles on their skin. But its actually closest living relative is the map turtle.
The map turtle.
Yep, another freshwater turtle.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I believe the map turtles are actually threatened in New Jersey, if I remember correctly.
I don't even know about a map turtle.
Yeah.
Oh. So, let's talk a little bit about the citizen science stuff.
Yeah, that's
Lori.
actually one of our other volunteers right there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
She's
Oh, they even get a sticker.
Yes, everybody gets a magnet and bright yellow shirts so that you are very apparent out on the causeway.
Well, I'm in it for the shirt.
Yeah.
So Lori Ann, let's answer this question. Lori Ann asks, how old do you have to be a volunteer?
So if you're going to do it by yourself, you have to be over 18. But we have a lot of families out here. So as long as there's an adult over 18 with you, we would recommend probably 8 and over.
And so now, aside from like just repairing, I guess, this black tubing,
Yes.
what can you have volunteers do?
So our volunteers, as part of the Citizen Science program, actually do the patrolling.
Okay.
So this is all volunteer-based organization. So you can sign up to do our daily road patrols. You pick a day of the week that you are available, and you would come out usually an hour before or about an hour after the high tide mark on your designated day.
Okay.
And you do a road patrol. Now this is a little
Now,
bit...
the hour before and the hour after, that's when they're most active
Yes,
nesting.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have been seeing this year a little bit more increased activity after the high tide. So about 2 hours after, we start to see a peak again. So it's a little bit different, but we usually say around the high tide mark. It's
Okay.
a good bet.
So you have to have a functioning car.
Yes. So you need to have a car.
Or I guess you could have legs.
You could. So we do have a lot
or
of...
a bicycle.
Well, bicycles are
dangerous.
Not allowed.
Oh yeah,
They're
it's
not allowed on the
dangerous. Yeah,
causeway.
don't bike on this thing.
So this is a privately owned causeway here.
Okay.
Oh, she sees one there. Or she turned around. Oh, I think she might see her. She moving a barrier. There might be a barrier that moved in the road. Oh,
She's approaching one.
I think she sees one.
We got another turtle.
We got another.
Let's go. Turtle patrol. Go. She's on the wrong side. She's on the wrong side.
This is a good way to show you how our
Going that way and now this way.
how our barriers work.
So she wants to go over here.
Yeah. This is actually the whole tubing. So this is an older type of barrier that we have slowly been transitioning.
She was really, really getting at me.
Yeah, she's
Okay,
trying to get
I'll
it.
let you get over it. I'm going to let you go over. Go, 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 go. She did not want to be picked up at all. She was really
So wait,
happy.
how did she? Oh, so is that a break up there?
There is a break up there, yeah.
Why is there a break?
Multiple reasons.
Is that a good break or a bad break?
That's a bad break.
That's a bad break.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the bridge company needs to get behind here a lot of times for maintenance purposes. So
Okay.
they either need to brush cut this or mow the lawn. So
They need a brush cut beyond this?
yeah, so they
Why?
brush cut in here just for clearance purposes, which is fine because this is a lot of poison ivy.
Does the poison ivy hurt the
It doesn't hurt them, but they just tend to keep it maintained to a certain level.
Okay.
Not to mention, so you can see this older type of barrier, this is the whole tubing. With this much vegetation, it starts to grow underneath and push up the barrier.
Oh,
So it
okay.
allows them to come under.
So it's good to cut
It
some of the
actually is
vegetation.
good, exactly. 'cause-
Yeah, I can see like here
Yeah.
you get a little bit of
Yep, it started
under.
to kind of lift up. So it might not even be that
Yeah,
she
it's
went
not
through the
even
break.
that
It could have just
effective,
been that
yeah.
she pushed under, which is why we don't like to use these barriers anymore. We use the split tubing, which
Okay.
we saw up earlier. The split tubing was actually brought to us
By hole barriers, you mean that you didn't cut them? Okay, I
cut
thought you
them.
meant that there were holes in them.
No,
Okay.
yeah, whole WHOLE.
Got it.
So this is the whole type of tubing. This is 6 inches corrugated stormwater piping.
Okay.
And the other one is 10 inches split in half, and we trench it into the ground. So we have a trencher,
Okay.
bury half of it, and the other half is over the top. And it's really smooth underneath of it, so they can't climb over it.
I see.
They also can't dig under it.
And I think I saw some rebar occasionally. where
Yeah,
you
that
tried
was
to-
that was an attempt to kind of keep these down.
Okay.
And keep them from dislodging. Sometimes when we have really high tides and really bad winter storms, they'll kind of get dislodged and go into the road. So the bridge company does its best to try to keep them in place.
Okay.
So the rebar is from the bridge company, but the original format or design of this was actually a wooden stake, which I don't know if we have any more left over here. Probably not.
Actually, one right here.
Yeah. So this is kind of the old style. We would have a wooden stake in the ground with a zip tie. There's 2 holes put in there.
Yep.
And zip ties around, and you drive that in to hold it down.
Okay.
So that's the original design. But as you can see, these have been out here for probably 6 or 7 years now.
Okay.
So they start to wear away.
Impressed that they're still existing.
Yeah, so we actually, when we do our big installation day, we clean up a lot of this because we don't want to leave the trash here.
Right.
So this kind of becomes a little bit more of a marsh cleanup as well.
So there's Tammy putting some of the barrier back in. So do you guys have intentions for renovating this?
Yes, so we have a stockpile across there. In the
Oh, so
maintenance yard.
this is our maintenance
This
yard
is our
right
maintenance yard, yeah, we finally made it to the maintenance yard.
here. Yeah.
So this is kind of where the bridge company does and keeps all their equipment, but we also store our barriers here. We do have a lot of nesting that happens in there because you can kind of see it's like gravelly. There's some sandy areas over there. So we tend to get a lot of nesting. There's also a boat ramp on the other end where they just kind of walk up. And we can't protect it because we can't shut off this maintenance yard.
Okay.
It's really difficult, but that's why the maintenance people are come in handy because they help move them as well.
Now Sheila asks this, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but is mowing discontinued during nesting?
Yeah, so we don't tend to mow during nesting. They mow about the mid to beginning of May, and then they kind of let it go.
Okay.
And if they do mow, it's not mowing with a mower, it's just with a weed whacker to kind of get some of the weeds along there. And they're very aware of any terrapins out here. In fact, the last time they mowed, they saw some of our cages from last year, and they make sure to go around them and kind of be careful.
Nice.
So it's a lot of education because a lot of people don't know. So.
All right, well let's show something different than a road on the camera.
So here's a bunch of our old stakes here.
Oh yeah, okay.
What it used to look like.
So these are the old style stakes and the whole tubing that they use, and they're trying to renovate this so that it's a little bit more effective.
Yeah, so we can head over into the maintenance yard here. We'll park on this side, and we can kind of walk around here. We tend to see a lot of terrapins in here nesting, so we can check it out.
Are we getting back in the car then?
Well, we can. She's just going to turn around.
Oh, but you and I can just walk?
Yeah, we can just walk across and not get hit.
All right, let's play Terrapin right now.
Yeah, Frogger.
Frogger, Terrapin, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Today is a good day. I love seeing all the nesting, seeing the turtles, the terrapins that are alive, because quite frankly, about a week ago, I must have picked up about a dozen dead ones. It was gut-wrenching.
Now, I have to ask you, do you get more live ones than you get dead ones at this point?
Well, some days one way, some days another.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
Man, there really is just no stop
A lot of
traffic,
people are just speeding by. They don't see them. Now, turtles are not as slow as some people think. Some people think turtles mean you're very, very slow, but they actually can hustle. And there are people, though, that just don't take the time. And
are we going through or over?
Yeah, we can go through and then go over here. They don't take the time and just hit them.
Drive-by terrapin shooting. Ugh.
As a matter of fact, today, right before we got to the causeway, it was still considered Northfield. I picked up one that was freshly killed. Oh, it was very, very disturbing, with smashed eggs. So she didn't even have a chance to lay her eggs, and the eggs were also smashed. Couldn't do anything about it. I clear her off the road. I have to put her into the log, and then you hope to get some live ones as we have now today. So that has been very, very
we saw 4
wonderful
so far.
Yeah, wonderful to see them.
At least one successful nesting.
Yes.
2 successful nesting. 2 successful nesting.
One with the barnacle.
Now
the barnacle.
once the eggs hatch, where are they headed to?
So once they hatch, they kind of head to just the vegetation to get out of the eyes of the crows and other predators. They try to hide in there.
Okay, so they're going straight for the vegetation, as close to them as possible.
Correct. They don't usually go into the water until the following year. They will sometimes even winter over in the same nest that they came out of for protection.
Okay.
They're not usually big enough to kind of survive in the water. But
what are they eating?
So they eat like little bugs and insects, but they also, the egg that they came out of has enough protein in them to last a little bit of time. So
oh, wow.
basically some of the egg sac that provides some of the nutrients for them to kind of keep them going for a while. And this is our geese haven under here.
It's the geese mafia.
Yeah.
Look, they're waiting for us.
They are waiting for us. So
all of their heads are up.
Yeah. They usually have babies with them, and they kind of hang out along the causeway here. But just trying to see if we see any. We have a couple of nests protected over here, but you can see that this is a pretty easy access for them to come up.
Don't worry, guys. We'll talk more about how you can join in and volunteer in a little bit.
Yeah.
Just
Kim, you've rescued a lot of terrapins now, haven't you?
Yes.
Can you remember every terrapin you have rescued?
well, you can certainly remember Francine and Sheila.
I remember Francine, but you know what? It's hard. I don't.
You don't? So you don't have turtle recall?
No, I don't have turtle recall.
I see you. I see you, mafia. What?
You missed it.
Missed what?
We had turtle joke though.
A turtle joke.
Oh,
going.
turtle recall. Oh, God, that was
please.
awful. Turtle recall.
Yeah. So this is.
It's just taking you too long. That's the problem.
Well, you know, we wanted to build up the joke to it. So this is a really good spot for them to come up very easily on the rocks here.
Okay.
Kind of come up. You can see it's a little bit sandier here. So they're like, oh, this is a great spot to nest. We do get a lot of nesting in this maintenance yard here. And when we find them in here, we put a cage over top to try to protect them, and we bring them back.
So the adults are living in what we call the littoral zone, which is the edges, the marshy edges.
Yeah, they do go in the open back bay waters,
okay.
but they tend to kind of hang out. You'll see their heads popping up occasionally along the edges here. But this is kind of where they hang out, and then they winter over in the shallow, kind of mucky areas.
Okay.
They cover themselves.
And they're eating fish.
Yep, they're eating fish, crabs, periwinkle, which are a type of snail. And that's actually why they're really important to the ecosystem. Is because they eat the periwinkle snails, and if you let the periwinkle go unchecked, they will destroy all of the salt marsh grass.
Okay.
And
now,
then you'll
periwinkle invasive?
Not that I know of.
They just need to be kept in
They
order.
need to be kept in check.
Yeah.
And that's,
Is there anything else that eats the periwinkle?
I'm sure some things do, but terrapins are pretty
Terrapins
much
are good at it.
They're really good at it. But they
And then they
keep
poop.
Then they poop.
A lot.
Yeah.
And that's when you get plants growing.
Yes. You get plants growing, get all sorts of circle life
Is there
stuff.
a nest on top of that rock right there?
Which rock?
The taller rock.
Oh
at the
yeah,
far end.
yeah,
I think there's
probably.
a
That
nest.
might be an oyster catcher.
Okay.
So that might be an oyster catcher.
You did?
You saw a head
Yeah,
pop up?
I saw a head and then it went.
Yeah. So you'll tend to see their heads pop up, and you'll see the white mustache come up, and sometimes you'll think it's like a piece of plastic. But if you move closer, they'll usually dump down.
I know what that those lips are. It's like balm. It's like they just. It's like lipstick.
Like
white
lipstick, like white lipstick.
There you go.
Lorianne asks, do you make or buy the cages?
I make them. I make them out of chicken wire. So I basically cut chicken wire.
So you also need
strips.
volunteers to make the cages.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm making a lot of them. We usually have the Boy Scouts help.
Okay.
The local Boy Scout troop make them. But this year we're going through a lot of them. And depending on, how they winter over, sometimes they'll start to corrode in the salt air.
Okay.
So, we have
So
to
you
keep
really need a
replacing.
constant supply of
Constant
them.
supply of them, yeah.
You also didn't have your regular day out to be able to repair and everything because of the pandemic. So.
Exactly. So COVID has kind of stunted a lot of our activity this year. We usually have
I don't know
one.
why I'm still focusing on you when she's talking. This is what makes me not a videographer. I turn my head to listen and the camera's still focused on you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We usually have one big installation day in the beginning of May, where we get anywhere from 50 to 75 volunteers out at once to help repair all the roadside barriers.
Got it.
And because everything going on this year, we couldn't do that. So we've had a lot more gaps in the barriers, a lot more missing pieces. And I think that's why we're finding a lot more, unfortunately, fatalities, because we're just kind of fixing them as we go.
Okay.
Because we can't all be out here at once. It's just not safe.
Got it.
So that's it was a big hurting to not be able to have that this year. So I'm hoping next year we can somehow safely do that and get everybody back out here.
Okay. So while we are a little bit away from traffic and the geese mafia have decided that it's not worth their time, by geese mafia. So it sounds like you need help with building cages.
Yes.
You definitely need help monitoring. Probably just need some help clearing the trash away, it looks like. A few
Yes.
people can just walk around with bags and clear the trash away.
Exactly. So part of that installation day is usually we have the younger kids go out with their parents and do a big trash cleanup.
Okay.
And we usually end up with anywhere from 10 to 15, 20 contractor bags full of trash.
Jeez.
And
I keep a grabber in my car, so I have a grabber and I have a bag. So when I'm out and I see a lot, I'm picking it up also because otherwise it just doesn't get done. It's unfortunate. I've seen people just throwing trash out of their car. Some trash, okay, it flies. You put
Well,
it in
if it's
the
a
trash can.
hamburger, it's just food for the turtles.
Yeah.
Food for the seagulls.
Okay, yeah, but we're not talking about that, unfortunately. We're talking about all sorts of other debris, and
Right.
of course you know that anything that, any of the plastics, of course you know what goes on land, but anything that gets into the water and the ecosystem just is all a wreck
Sure.
with the trash that goes in the water. So we have to be diligent in picking up and not throwing out into just the road. Put
Well,
it
what else
in
am
the
I supposed to
proper
do with my trash?
I don't know. Eat it?
Use the proper receptacle.
I'm just kidding, guys. I teach environmental science. I know what to do with my trash.
Yeah, but not everybody who's watching
No, I know.
knows.
Please
Come
don't throw it
on.
out of your car.
No.
Just save it for a trash can. It's okay. So how does somebody, like, if they want to volunteer, if they're anywhere in the area, like, I'm sure that you have people that drive down just to help volunteer. How do they get in contact with you?
So they can send us an email.
Let's get you close to
yeah.
this with this one.
They can send us an email to admin@margateterrapinrescue.org.
We'll put the link. We'll put the link in the
We have a
doobly-doo.
website with all of our information. Our Facebook page has a lot of information and updates, and as well as our Instagram. So we have all 4 ways to get in contact with us. And then basically before you come out and do anything, we do an orientation.
Okay.
I actually have an orientation at 11 o'clock with a new volunteer. And you sign a waiver, and I kind of show you how do we log our data for road patrols, or if you're interested in just doing the trash pickup, or if
Okay.
you want to make some cages, we can give you the materials and start making cages.
And I mean, just some people are going to be like, well, I mean, I want to do something, but I'm sure there's plenty of people biting down the bullet to help you guys.
No.
I mean, do you guys really need people?
Yes, we always need people. We're kind of towards the end of our nesting season.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that there isn't still stuff that can be done.
Right. So repairs and trash cleanups for sure.
Cleanup, and also we're going to start monitoring the cages that we put out.
Okay.
So we have to start monitoring for any hatchlings coming out.
Okay.
And the hatchlings we actually are going to take to Stockton for the Head Starter program, so that they at least get a better chance.
So with
to
John
survive.
Rakita
Yep,
and
with
John. Okay.
And that's
Yeah.
where we bring our eggs. Did you talk about that?
No, I didn't talk about
Okay, so if we find a terrapin that has, of course, been smashed, but
By the way, do you
eggs-
have any eggs to show us in the?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. So
Oh,
Fragments.
maybe
fragments are good. Fragments are
Old,
good.
yeah, desiccated fragments maybe. But if I find, or if anybody finds, any of the volunteers find a terrapin that has been killed, but the eggs are still intact, we take those terrapins to John Rakita at Stockton, and he's able to incubate the eggs, and then we can get some more hatchlings.
Great.
He's wonderful. He's really wonderful.
We're trying to actually do a live stream with John at some point, but due to
Oh, here we
COVID
go.
and everything. Oh, that's actually a half intact egg.
Yeah, it's half intact. It still has a little bit of the yolk in there. And there's a lot of ants in there. But this is about the size, so imagine
So that
a little
yolk
bit.
is what you said that they
Yes,
could
they
survive
use-
on.
yep, exactly.
That's about the size of an egg.
Yep.
Well, half the size of an
Half
egg.
the size egg. It's a little bit dried out too, so when it's a
Yep.
little bit moist. Yep.
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah. Well, it's probably been sun dried.
Because they're softer.
Yeah.
The ants are loving the yolk.
Oh yeah.
Lori Ann asks, where does your funding come from? Do you sell merch?
That's a great question. So, our funding is all from just local people donating.
Okay. You get any money from Margate?
No, we do not. We are just,
Margate.
I know. We are in the process right now of getting our official 501c3.
Okay.
So we will be able to apply for grants and more funding sources. But right now we're just kind of collecting donations from people out of the goodness of their hearts. The Margate Bridge Company does donate money every year when we do our big fundraisers.
Okay.
They usually donate about $1,000.
Oh, that's great.
But the barriers themselves are very expensive. They're about $250 a foot. So, and we have somewhere upwards, I think it's close to 20,000 feet.
Okay.
20,000 linear feet of
So if somebody wanted to donate, you have a place to
We have
donate
a
on your
PayPal.
website?
Yep, we have a PayPal.
Excellent.
That you can donate through. And
Lori Ann, if you want merchandise, you're going to have to volunteer. You get one of those
you
awesome
get one of
yellow
these sweet
shirts.
We are talking about definitely making some shirts for sale to
Okay.
help for fundraising. So any shirt ideas, we're more than welcome. So send us your ideas and what you would like to have on a shirt. Somebody suggested some tie-dye, some green tie-dye shirts that have Terrapin Rescue on the back with our logo.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, I thought that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, any suggestions we're open to.
I hate tie-dye.
Well, that's just you.
That's you. A lot of girls like tie-dye, like...
Fine. You can make your tie-dye shirts.
A
We'll
lot
do
of guys
tie-dye.
like the tie-dye, too.
We'll do a mixture. We'll do tie-dye and solids.
All right.
So I guess we can do, if you want to do one more little drive and see if we can see another nesting one.
Grab some.
Well, you said you had some shells, so let's
Yes,
take a
I
look at
have
the
some
shells.
shells in
Let's
my
take a look at
car.
the shells and talk about why it's so damaging to hit a turtle.
Yes.
Um,
There's another nest that was predated. There's another one. See?
Man. Well, you know what? Osprey need to eat too.
Yeah, it's a lot of the crows. You can see them on the wires out here. They kind of just wait. They wait for the terrapin to get done nesting, and then they basically dig them right up immediately.
Holly says, I found baby turtles in my pool and have put them back in the bay. Is that the right thing to do?
So if you found baby ones, you want to put them in the vegetation. You don't want to put them directly into the water.
Right.
But the closest spot to you would be best. But yeah, we don't want to put them directly into the water, just because they're usually
Gonna get eaten pretty fast, yeah.
They don't survive very long. The percentage of survival from nest to adult is only about 1%.
walking to your car?
To my car.
Yeah.
Here.
Walking in the wrong line here.
It's only about 1%, so it's a very...
Survival of the offspring,
Yes,
1%.
1%.
Now, so by giving them to John at Stockton, you increase that survival just a little bit. But
Oh, yeah.
is there anything that you can do with the babies that hatch on the side of the road to increase survival, or do you stop at just protecting the nests?
We basically don't want to handle them too much.
Okay.
So other than taking them to Stockton, other than taking them to Stockton, we kind of stop at that.
Why don't we take them inside the fence so that we can better?
I have a lot of shells.
I'm getting shirt ideas, by the way.
Oh, shirt idea.
Yeah, somebody said you should do a shell pattern on the back.
Oh, I like that idea. That's a good idea. We'll bring this over. For the other one, the nesting?
Yeah, it's told so that we can have it to put it on.
Okay.
So here's a great question that I'm personally interested in. Do you ever take student intern researchers? Do you have like people like Wiech who come down and maybe do some research on the turtles with a student intern?
Well, they have their own pretty significant project up there.
Okay.
And I know they have their hands full.
This is in Mates and
yeah, with
Long Island,
Project
yeah.
Terrapin, and all their students are usually involved with that. Oh, there's another nest.
Man, they'll just lay anywhere, won't
Yeah,
they?
you can see it's all gravelly here. Yeah, I know they have their hands full up there, as do a lot of the other terrapin rescues.
Okay.
So we do have a couple of new volunteers this year that are in college or just graduated college that might be interested in kind of collecting more data.
I don't know where we're walking to, by the way.
I'm just walking here to get away from some of the noise.
Please don't do your own research
Yeah.
unless you absolutely know what you're doing.
Yeah. So,
And if you don't know whether you know what you're doing or not, you don't know what you're doing.
yeah, don't start your own science experiments here.
So, for those of you that don't know, turtles, terrapins, turtles,
yeah.
all of them, they have, it's this weird evolutionary change that happened where instead of the rib cage folding over inside like ours do, they started curling around. There's when you here, I'll just use Kim's stomach as an example here. When you start developing, your ribs they have 2 points and they meet. The signals from those 2 points kind of signal to each other and they start coming together. They force the rib cage together as you're developing. Turtles, as it turns out, lost that signal. And so the ribs, instead of developing towards each other, developed outwards. And that's why instead of the shell, so these are the individual ribs right here, instead of those ribs curling back like they do on us, they kept on growing outwards. And so this shell is actually their rib cage. Now you can go ahead.
No, that's great. I mean, from the scientific perspective. So yeah, we have a couple of shells here that we've found over the years. Some of the scoots kind of fall off. They start to fall apart after a while. But this is a male here. This is a little, so you can see the size difference.
Oh yeah, much
yeah,
smaller.
much smaller. So that's generally a male. This probably was a female, but it's a little bit hard to tell
Sure.
without a lot of the other distinguishing features.
Just larger.
Just larger, yeah.
Yeah.
The size is usually a good telltale sign. The females obviously are just significantly bigger.
Okay.
But yeah, you could see their backbone inside.
Right, so this is their spine right
Yep.
here.
Yep. So a lot of people are like, oh, do they have a spine or are they just like a jelly inside? I'm
Yeah,
like, no, they have a spine.
This is their spine, this is
Yes.
their rib cage.
Yep.
And if you hit them, you've essentially damaged their entire rib cage. They have no more protection for any of their internal organs. All of this has
Okay.
blood going through it.
Oh, thank you.
All of this has blood going through it, so if you hit them and you create a hole there, they're going to bleed out. This is not like a shell that
It's not
they
like
can
a
just
hermit
put. It's
crab.
not like a
No,
hermit
not at
crab.
all.
They're
Not
dead.
just as protection.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they develop a hole in the backside, they can repair themselves just like we can repair a rib that's broken,
Yeah.
but it's got to be a relatively minor injury.
Yeah, we've seen some boat strikes where, like, you might get an indent here and you can see it started to kind of come back together.
Right.
Some kind of more superficial. But if it actually hits any part of the serious interior part and any of the internal organs, then there's not much that they can do for themselves.
And John is also rescued. He's been helping in the past to nurse back the injured terrapins that we can save.
Yeah, I've
So
seen
he's
some
been
of them
great.
in
the lab, yeah.
vivarium. So Lorianne asks an interesting question: are there nerves inside the shell?
Inside the shell itself?
Yeah.
I mean, there is blood vessels that are running through here, so you have to think that there
Right.
must be some kind of nerve sensors. So when they do get hit, I mean, they're feeling it, even if it's just a shell.
Yeah, well, I mean, just like, you have a spine with a lot of nerves in it, there's definitely nerves that are running
Yes.
alongside this. I imagine that the scutes these are just like
That's more
fingernails.
like, yeah, I was gonna say it's more like a nail.
And
than
so I'm
anything.
guessing that there are no nerves that extend out through the
No.
scutes, but there's definitely going to be some nervous tissue on the underside of the
Yeah, you
scute.
can kinda
Holy
see.
crap!
So
Excuse
that's
my language. What
That's
the heck
a
is that?
snapping turtle.
Oh,
We have different turtle shells to show some of the different variations. And then this is a box turtle. So you can kind of see the difference.
oh, this is great. Okay, so
Yeah.
Diamondback Terrapin, box turtle.
Box turtle.
Okay.
Still both very colored.
Show us the snapping turtle.
You can flip them over.
Snapping turtle.
Snapping turtle.
Huge. Now the snapping turtle you can always tell
Yes,
by these
spiky ridges.
dinosaur-like pterodactyl spiky ridges on the back.
Exactly.
Also, you can tell it if you don't have a hand anymore.
Yeah. If they bit it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see the height too. So
Right.
Diamondback terrapins need to move through the water pretty quickly. Box turtles basically are land-based, so they're not really swimming much. So the profile on them is significantly different.
Now the reason they're called box turtles, correct me if I'm wrong, is because they can actually close off
Yes,
both sides.
they can
and
go
this-
inside
Yeah, so they have
completely.
that whole hatch.
Yeah, whereas terrapins cannot go inside their shell.
Now you can see with the box turtle too, the same thing happened in evolution. You have the spine and the ribs, instead of meeting underneath, the ribs just continue to expand outwards.
Yep. Yeah, so the difference is pretty stark on them.
Okay, so this is another.
the Diamondback.
This is the
terrapin.
Diamondback,
Yep,
right? This is the
yeah,
male that we were
the
talking
male,
about.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the coloring, because a lot of people will ask me, they'll send me a picture and it might be of a box turtle. And like,
Okay.
should I put it in the marsh? Do not put these in the marsh.
Okay.
They will not survive in the marsh. They do not have the salt glands to be used in saltwater areas, whereas Diamondback terrapins have salt glands behind their eyes that allow them to express some of the salt from the water,
Just like sea turtles.
like sea turtles.
Okay.
Right? But they cannot survive in saltwater,
Okay.
complete saltwater for too long. We will see them washed up on the beaches sometimes.
What other kinds of turtles are we likely to encounter out here?
Out here towards the Northfield area, you might get some red-eared sliders and
Okay.
painted turtles because it's more freshwater.
Now,
up
red-eared
there.
sliders do have a similar shell structure.
Very similar structure.
But the snout is going to be totally different. I mean,
different.
red-eared sliders, you're going to see.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you're
Holly.
good.
No, Holly was saying she can't see. Red-eared sliders are, you clearly have those red ears along
Yeah,
the side.
those stripes on the
Right.
side, and their shell color is a lot different color.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot more.
They have a lot more vibrant colors on the sides, on the carapace and the plastron.
But it all does differ a little bit with age,
Yes.
and with how much they've been exposed to the light, and whether or not they have a barnacle on one of the scutes.
yeah, or
So-
a barnacle.
Crazy.
But barnacles can live. Barnacles. Red-eared sliders can live in marshy.
No, but up towards the beginning of the causeway here, and also along a lot of the areas, there's fresh water coming from rivers and runoff that
Okay.
they can kind of survive towards that end. Once you kind of transition closer to the barrier islands, it's more saltwater influenced from the bays and the...
And so of the saltwater influence, we're likely to get box turtles?
No.
No box turtles.
No box turtles.
Diamondback terrapins. What
No.
else? You said map turtles?
No,
No
Really,
map turtles.
You're just getting
Diamondbacks.
Yep. So
Okay.
out here, 99% of the turtles you will see are Diamondback Terrapins.
Because they love that brackish water.
Yeah, brackish water.
And 1% is a goose disguised as
Yes,
a turtle?
Exactly.
Okay.
1% is a box turtle or a snapping turtle.
That somebody put in there.
That somebody put there.
Got
exactly.
it.
Which they thought they were doing a good thing, and then they put them somewhere they're not supposed
It's
to.
the goldfish syndrome. Don't release your animals/pets into areas
that they don't belong in. And
Call the Margate Terrapin Rescue.
Yeah, we will send you to the
They have a network of volunteers.
Yes.
And if they don't have somebody to reach out to you, then you're going to become a volunteer and you can get the yellow shirt.
You're going to get suckered into it too.
Nice.
So yeah, no, most of them you'll see are Diamondback Terrapins. But we have seen there is a big snapping turtle up in the first section right near Northfield that comes out every year. And it is bigger than that shell. It is humongous, and I get calls every year that the snapping turtle is back out. And she comes across the road right in the middle.
Do you think snapping turtles would eat Diamondback Terrapins?
You know, that's a great question. I don't think so.
I bet they will. They'll eat anything.
They will, but I think that they might have some mutual respect between them.
I don't know about that.
I like to think that they
Let's
don't.
believe that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no.
We can't have everything eating each other at this point. So yeah, so those are kind of couple of the shells we have, and
so you know what, before we end, I want to just let's take another walk out to the shoreline, because there is something other important that I just want to mention that you guys will thank me for as soon as we get out there.
That there's shade.
Yeah, shade. See if the Goose Mafia is out there. So you guys have a pretty good working relationship with the crew, with the road crews around here.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to get involved, let me just say this again. If somebody wants to get involved with the Margate Terrapin Rescue Project, all you have to do is go to the co-host's link on a Facebook page, or just search for Margate Terrapin Rescue. It's the first link that comes up on Google. And just click volunteer. You have a volunteer tab on there? Or just find out where they contact them. They'll get back to you ASAP. They're always looking for volunteers. Either people to repair the barriers, people to pick up trash, people to monitor the roadways especially. You need to be at least 18. If you're not 18, you have to be with a guardian. But it's a lot of fun. Doesn't take up a lot of time. You can do it at your own leisure. They might ask you to do it at a specific time, but yep, they do have families. So the thing that I want to mention, and this is the kind of a personal vendetta, I love jet skiing. It's a lot of fun, guys. Don't get me wrong, I love jet skiing. The problem is terrapins and other animals live in those really shallow areas where people jet ski. Now this is more open water, but terrapins and these other animals that we've been talking about like to live in the shallower parts of the marsh. Like you go out to Forsyth or you go out into the Back Bay area, you see a lot of shallow areas where technically because jet skis can get there, people will take the jet skis there. The problem is that jet skis, number one, are fast and hit things without knowing, and they damage shells and other organisms, and also the noise. We're finding out that the noise really does disturb a lot of the wildlife, because a lot of animals rely on audio cues. So this is a really important reason. Look, have fun on your jet ski. I'm not telling you not to. They are a blast. But really, keep them out to the open waters. Do not go into the vegetation, into the areas with vegetation. Even though you won't get stuck, because I know how jet skis work, it's really going to do a lot of damage to those ecosystems. You're going to hurt a lot of animals. It's not worth it. Take a kayak, take a canoe. If you really have to go fast, stick a 40-pound thrust motor on a canoe and go slow. I've done it before. It's fine. Just do not take your really fast jet skis into those shallow areas. Tammy also mentions, and I should say, that they tear up the submerged aquatic vegetation. Jet skis actually don't necessarily tear it up because the intake, they're inboard engines, and but they do suck up a lot of the spores, and they can send a lot of the invasive species, the invasive plants kind of fragmenting all over the place. They do a lot of damage. It's more those outboard motors that do the damage. Before I lose the comment, Ellen asks, is there an organized group for rescuing terrapins on the White Horse Pike from Atlantic City to Obsecon?
So that is Ben Worst.
Ben Worst.
The Conserve Wildlife Foundation has been trying to get that patrolled. It's a very difficult road to do because there is a cement barrier in the middle and people are usually doing 65, 70 miles per hour on that road. We are just trying to focus on the causeway right now, on the Margate Causeway, because you can see we already have so much going on right here.
Sure.
We don't want to be spread too thin, but I know other organizations...
And I imagine that the concentration terrapins here is going to be a little bit more than there, or no?
No, I mean, it's half and half. It depends. I haven't been out there enough to see how much is actually out there. Okay. Unfortunately, what we do see is almost all deaths out there and not any live ones.
Well, that's because you're not out there.
That's true. We're not out there helping them. It's a very dangerous road, so really the best thing we can try to do for that road would be to install barriers.
Okay.
Not necessarily patrolling, it's just really dangerous. But yeah, Ben Worst, I know, is trying to get something started out there. Tim Glenn, also a Glenn Insurance Company, who has his office right on that road. I know him and a bunch of his employees definitely are very well trained in rescuing terrapins off the roadways.
Okay.
So there is some small local groups, but there's nothing concrete like ours right now.
So I'll tell you what, if anybody is listening to this and they're interested in helping out in their local community, they know that there's Diamondback Terrapins, why don't you send Tammy and Kim an email and they can easily connect you with people that are already interested. And if they don't know of anybody that's interested, my guess is that there isn't yet. They probably have already, they've been doing this, you said, for 6 years.
Me for 6 years, but this group has been going since 1997.
Right, so if we don't know of anybody, chances are there isn't, and you should start up one with their assistance and their guidance. Yeah. Lorianne asks, any groups out near Mott's Creek?
Mott's Creek, yeah. So that's Leeds Point, which is part of Project Terrapin.
Project Terrapin,
yes.
Okay.
They have a new offshoot. With
that's also John Wennick, yeah?
That's John Wennick.
That's John Wennick, yeah. John Wennick.
So
John Wennick is like, I hear his name all the time. I got to Stockton, and I think he might have been the first name that I heard. And I didn't meet the guy until 2 years after that.
Yeah, so Leeds Point, they have an offshoot of Project Terrapin there, and I'm sure that they are going to start to expand and go towards Mott's Creek area as well. I know there's a bunch of those marsh roads right in the north area that are starting to get looked at for patrolling and doing some research. So, yeah, I've had people contact me.
Any college students? Have you reached out to any college students who are home and not?
Well, I asked her that, and you know, one of the things that we're really struggling with at Stockton is we want our students to get out there and do internships, and all of their internships have been canceled.
Right. Yeah. Here's
so
something they can do.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to send a few your way.
And you can go on your CV. It's really good. Yeah. Great opportunity.
We have a bunch of families that have had, sons and daughters that have started from middle school and are now about to graduate high school and have volunteered with us every single year. And yeah, I mean, they're dedicated. They have this on their background now, on their CVs, on their resumes, and it's a really good, volunteer opportunity, but it's also really rewarding.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you do see a lot of fatalities out here, and that could be a little bit disheartening.
Yeah.
But that's what I was saying before. Today was a good day.
A lot of fatalities, but you know what? A lot fewer fatalities than existed before we started on this.
Yeah, we have the data. Yeah. We used to have anywhere from 120 to 150 fatalities.
And it's worth pointing out, too, I mean, you have to consider that we created this habitat for them. Yeah. So there would be no nesting here if not for humans creating this habitat. But again, there would be almost no nesting if not for humans stewarding this habitat for them. So that's why this group is so important, is that we created the habitat, so it's our responsibility to steward it for the animals that we are bringing to here. You wouldn't bring a dog into your house only to kill it, right? So you're not going to bring the terrapins onto the road only to see them die. All right, guys. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to... You said you have a workshop to lead, and I'm sure it's almost 11.
Yeah, just check us out, and if you're driving any of these roads, slow down.
All right.
And if you see a terrapin crossing, or any turtle for that matter, make sure you put them in the direction they were going and not where they came from.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they will try to turn around and go back across the road.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of our last little point.
And if you absolutely don't know what to do with it, stick them in like a container and call the Margate Terrapin Project. They'll tell you what to do with them.
Yeah.
Her,
we
him,
like to not,
whatever.
We like to not move turtles or terrapins too far from where we
Yeah,
found them.
yeah, absolutely. Just turn the turtle around toward a terrapin, turtle. Turn the
Terrapin.
turtle, turn the turtle around,
There you go.
and send it back on its way, and you've saved it. But if you absolutely have to, if you see one that's injured but still alive, it's okay to hold up. I hate to say this because it's risky, but you can slow down, put your blinkers on, hold up traffic. I've done it
your
before too.
arms.
Wave your arms. People will be pissed at you, but
Yep.
the people who are pissed at you are dicks anyway. So okay, now on that.
If you do that, take a picture, send it to us, let us know where you did it and when, and gives us an idea. Of
Absolutely. Use your phones if you can. If you remember, use your phone's GPS geolocation
Yes,
to just
absolutely.
tag it so that you can give that information over. It really does help them in monitoring and figuring out what areas are important to really put up those barriers.
Exactly. Yeah, and where we have to, kind of patrol a little bit harder.
Yeah.
We've been collecting data using this app for the last 3 years, and before that we have written data. So we have data going back at least 10 years.
Excellent.
It's a big data collection effort.
It's a great research opportunity too. If anybody wants to, because you have some long-term data, I'm gonna have to send a student your way.
This was my master's thesis.
Oh, was it? All right, we'll have to talk about that after the video.
This was my master's thesis, was all this, so.
All right, guys. Well, I'm getting a lot of people saying thank you, and
Yeah,
let me
thank
thank
you.
you too. I hope that you guys get some interest.
Yeah.
So again,
Thanks for coming out and joining us out here.
Tammy, Kim with Margate Terrapin,
Terrapin.
Diamondback Terrapin
Diamondback
Rescue
Terrapin.
Project, and I'm Aaron Stoller. Thank you very much. Tune in next week. We were going to do a canoe ride up the Mullica, but actually we're going to talk about our maple syruping project and show you how we're doing some soil sampling. All right? Catch you guys later.